Fantastic. So I would like to welcome everyone who's watching to the next edition of a MOTI Masterclass. As you're aware, if you've been following, we've been engaging with the different collection management organizations in South Africa. Those are the likes of SAMRO, RISA, SAMPRA, ECHO, and today we have CAPASSO, the Composers and Authors Publishers Association of South Africa. With us today, we've been graced with our guy, Roland, who is the licensing manager at CAPASSO. He's actually my successor.
Yeah.
Yes, my successor there. So first and foremost, I would just like to thank you for taking the time. And yeah, I'm happy for you if you'd like just to introduce yourself.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for giving me this platform and opportunity to share on what we do. So like you've explained, I'm the licensing manager at CAPASSO, and essentially I'll keep using the term CAPASSO, the Composers, Authors, and Publishers Association of South Africa. And as a licensing manager, I basically deal with the licensing side. So I deal with the users of our members' works and basically detail how, what are the terms of usage, basically. That's what licensing is in a nutshell. But what we do as an organization, like the many other collective management organizations you've worked with, we collect specifically for a specific type of right, which is mechanical rights, also known as reproduction rights, just essentially your ability to reproduce musical works from one format to another generates royalties. So that's what we do essentially.
Fantastic. Okay, so mechanical rights, also known as mechanical royalties or mechanical or reproduction royalties as well. So you guys collect that. So as one of the CMOs, you collect and you distribute to your members. And we mentioned members, but just so it's clear, who are your members? Who do you want to come and register with CAPASSO?
CAPASSO. So it's in the title, right? Composers, authors, and publishers, right?
Fantastic.
And so if you're a musical composer, you've composed work, you can come and register CAPASSO. You'll be our member. We also represent publishing companies. So most publishing companies, including the majors, are members of CAPASSOs. And if you're author, you're a lyricist, for example, you've authored music, you're also very welcome to come join CAPASSO, and we'll collect on your behalf.
Fantastic. So just so it's clear, a composer could be a producer, and an author, we could also call an author a songwriter, just because sometimes these terms get confusing with people. So yeah, just so it's clear, a composer is technically a producer, and and the author is a songwriter.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, fantastic. So with regards to now, so I just want to quickly do a quick, almost have a quick overview of what the whole ecosystem looks like and where CAPASSO fits in. So as I said, there's multiple CMOs, and you shared that. So you guys, so there's SAMRO and CAPASSO, and I know there's often confusion between the two of you, and I know you have mentioned it already, but maybe if we say it in one sentence, it would be great, just to understand the difference between what SAMRO does and what CAPASSO does, because you both deal with composers and authors.
Yes. So that's correct. So generally speaking, in a lot of other countries and jurisdictions, SAMRO and CAPASSO would essentially be under one house. So CAPASSO deals with the mechanical rights, which is, again, like I said, it's the reproduction, and SAMRO deals with the performance rights. So every time that work is performed, either through television, live concert, royalties are generated from that. But we're both, and how I like to explain this, like in the royalties world, is like there are two main legs of royalties, where you collect your royalties. There's the rights that you get for the underlying composition of the work. That's where we come from. Some call them publishing rights, reproduction rights, performance rights. That's one leg. And what we do is essentially the work that we essentially collect from is it's the underlying composition, the music, right, without necessarily the recording.
Okay.
And then on the other side, that's where you get the recording rights. It's basically that song that you've recorded in your studio, that sound recording,
Yes.
as is, that is then reproduced. And when it's reproduced, it generates royalty. So we're on the underlying composition leg of a royalties collection, essentially. But to go back to CAPASSO and Samro, so basically, I'll just give a simple example.
Yes.
Perfect. Sorry, I don't know if you mind stopping because my phone.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. Let me put pause. Super. Okay, so let's continue. So you were just about to share a simple example.
Yes. So I was going to share the example. So, say for example, you want you're a musician and you've got a song that you've basically recorded, and in the olden days, because we're now in the streaming, but in the olden days you would want your song to be pressed on the CD. Yes. And you want that CD to be copied or reproduced, distributed, essentially. So for every time that work of yours on the CD is reproduced on another CD, for example, that's a reproduction, and you'd collect from CAPASSO. And imagine now the very same body of work is now being performed on television, for example, or performed on a stage. There is a form of reproduction that occurs there, and that is you performing the song, you performing the body of the composition, and there you would basically collect royalties, or you generate royalties that would be collected from a sample.
Okay, super. I think that makes sense. So now if we talk it in the digital world now, so we're no longer on CDs. So every time, let's just say, well, you're even now moving from downloads. Actually, downloads are starting to now fall away now. But if it was downloads, so every time a song is downloaded, because it's not just the only song, isn't you're downloading a copy of a song. And every time that copy is made, then there's a reproduction, and therefore that means a mechanical royalty is now generated. And so in streaming is the same thing, that when you stream on a streaming platform, every time you stream it, it's not like you stream it once and the song is finished. You stream it and you can restream it, and multiple people can stream it. Every time it's played, every time that's seen as a copy. So so that's the mechanical royalty. Okay, fantastic. So who are some of the how would I say, when you mentioned earlier that you're the licensing manager, so who are you licensing?
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a great question. Who do we license? I like to categorize some of our licensees. We call them licensees, but some of our users in the following sort of categories. So we've got our broadcasters. So basically all your broadcasting channels, the major broadcasting channels, from your SABC, TV, all the broadcasting channels. And this is for television, right? Not a radio. So there's a slight complication there, but essentially for television. And then we've got our, what we call digital service providers. So streaming, download. So your major, whatever app or service provider on the internet that you would essentially subscribe to listen to your music. I think one that I can share with that we've recently signed, or we signed last year, would be your TikTok, for example, because they copy and they use music, and we publicize that, we essentially collect from them. And when it comes to your digital scene or your digital service providers, you've got, you know, your audio service providers, you've got
Mhm.
your audio visual service providers, and now more and more, which is sort of like a mix of broadcasting and digital transmission, is your video on demand services.
Okay.
That's something that's we collect from. And then we also collect from
Can you give an
your
example of
online,
sorry, before you, a video on demand, an example of one?
the,
That
the famous ones, this, you know, your Disney, your
Netflix.
Netflix, your
Okay.
Showmax. Yeah,
Okay.
we
Fantastic.
collect for, yeah. And then we've also got other forms of, so for example, online radio.
Uh-huh.
If you're an online radio service provider, we collect from there. Podcasts also we collect from there, and also what we term as in-store radio, by basically when music is played on retail sites, you know, shops and supermarkets. We also collect from that end as well. And due to the recent advent of the COVID-19, we
Hmm.
also formulated what we call a live stream a license, basically, because everything, sort of all the performances had to go online. So we came up with a license, live stream licenses. So in the instance where, for example, an organization wanted to have an event for their employees, and they wanted songs to be played during that event with their employees streaming from all across the country,
Yes.
then we would provide sort of like live streaming licenses as well. So we license on a wide spectrum. Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, it is very exciting. I mean, especially I know how it is negotiating to get those
Yeah.
licenses in place. So 100% kudos to you and the team for putting that together. I want to touch on quickly TikTok, because you just mentioned TikTok. And I mean, TikTok was an exciting one. And I think even the negotiations had just started just before I'd left CAPASSO.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but as exciting as the TikTok deal is, um, it's there's work that needs to be done from all parties, because as much as CAPASSO has a license to collect the royalties, if the creators aren't notifying you guys of their works, then it kind of then it almost defeats, it's counterproductive. It doesn't really help
Exactly.
much. So I
Yeah.
want to just get into a bit into notification right now. And well, yeah, actually, let's say the importance of notification, and what is notification, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's actually what you said is very true. The counterproductiveness of, so basically I like to see it, there's two ends of our business as a collective management organization, right? There's my end, which is the licensing side. I go after the users, we negotiate the terms of usages, and
Mhm.
we get the monies in. The other hand, and I think for our members, which is the most important, is the ability to um, get those. So we get the reports from the users and say, listen, we've used this.
Yeah.
The ability to match it with our, repertoire of the works that we have on our systems,
Okay.
and then get the monies from the works that we've matched and then distribute them. And this is where I think the bulk of what a CMO does is the ability to have all these works on our system so that we can match from the licensees, collect, and then redistribute. And
Okay.
that's where the registration, you need to be able to register as a member in order to benefit from this collective management organization. That's the first thing. But you also need, and this is where we cannot insist more, you need to be able to notify your works. And
Mm.
the process of notification is simple. It's you essentially saying, this is my work, this is what it's entitled, I've compose this or with this or this person, and I own maybe like 50% shares of the song because I contribute to 50% shares of that song. And once we have that detail, that is crucial, because that is the detail that we're going to use to then look at the reporting that these DSPs have given us, and then match your detail to what they've reported to us, and then take, which then would correspond to the royalties that we'll be able to collect on your behalf, and then redistribute. So it's essential, it's completely essential, because on the one hand, it's good to negotiate these million rands deals, and it's good to say we've signed on the paper. Now we actually need to get the ball rolling by actually being able to say, you've used this song, it belongs to us, now pay for it in accordance to our agreement or to the deal that we set up. So notification is very, very important for users, for members, sorry. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. No, without a doubt. As in, if people, technically, if members aren't notifying you guys of their works, then you don't know who to pay. As in, then when the royalties are collected and it's time to distribute, you technically don't know where to pay. And one of the things I do want to quickly just plug quickly is that I'm planning on launching where this video is going to be is on my MOTI website, where where it's an educational, well, it's a skills sharing kind of platform where people can just learn and understand the real business. And one of the things, when you mentioned about the document, when you mentioned that has the names and the different composers and authors, as well as the splits, that's now we come into the split sheet. And that's the split sheet, which is very important. And on the MOTI platform, we've created a digital split sheet, which we're hoping is going to be a solution to help creators make it more easier, because then it removes the whole issue of having to print. Now you're sitting down, you're all writing down, everyone has to sign, then you have to scan it, then you have to send it to everyone. With this with the MOTI split sheet, you'll be able to there and then go into your phone or laptop, be able to register. If you've registered onto the platform, you can use this for free as well. You just use it. You can plug in all the information, type it in. It shoots off emails to verify, and it works. So I'm hoping that's going to be a solution for the industry.
That is actually amazing, because I was having a conversation with somebody on this very same issue. One of the difficulties that we have in the industry, the creators, most creators don't like admin, right?
At all.
And what notification, although it's very simple, it sounds like admin. And it, for creators, is something that they avoid sort of like the plague. But the problem is, if you look at the numbers, if you look at you're calculating rands and dollars and pounds and nairas, wherever you, depending on where you are, you'll see that there's a considerable amount of money that we either aren't able to collect or aren't able to distribute, just because, one, you haven't notified, or two, on the issue of splits, is that there are counterclaims, like people claiming the same song and people claiming to have composed. And so what a lot of these users do is, whenever there's a counterclaim, they pause royalties on that issue. And the other thing is, it's like a lot of creators, when they're in the vibe, they're creating, they're not really thinking, should I claim like 25% of this work? But to have something that's like, readily there, it allows you to put that, as one of those building blocks in the creative process. And I think that's amazing, because it then solves a lot of problems that would come into place thereafter, after the creation process. So that's kudos on that, really. We're praying
it really is a solution, because it's needed. I think we need to make it easy. And actually, part of me is even, you know, at one point, I always, as you said, the creatives avoid admin like the plague,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's true. And part of me was like, you know, maybe we should start trying to groom business-minded people. Like I think there's that we're really missing a layer of managers, business-minded managers, not a manager where I just become an artist and I say, Roland, you're my best friend. I trust you. You're my manager. And Roland really doesn't understand. He just thinks, okay, being a manager is taking bookings for me, collecting my money, and parting with me, you know. But I really want us to start grooming it on the continent, business-minded people that understand the importance of just all this kind of admin that needs to happen. Because and this now leads into my next question, which is because unfortunately, if the royalties aren't collected, the likes of CAPASSO is a non-profit organization. So that means you guys can't hold on to the money forever. So it's one of those situations where, could you explain what the repercussions when you're not notifying and what ends up happening to the royalties in those instances?
Okay, so I think the first important is it's a legal term, but I'll try to explain it as much as I can. It's a prescription, right? There's something called prescription. It's applicable in pretty much all areas of life. Is you've got a limited amount of time to make a claim, a legal claim on something that's due to you. Right? And that's applicable everywhere. So if I owe you money today and you know that I owe you money today, you can't come to me more than 3 years later to claim that money, because I'll just say your claim is prescribed. That's essentially the rule and all. So and that is applicable, like I said, apart from certain legal exceptions, it's applicable in all areas of life, including when it comes to collecting royalties. So if somebody's used your work and somebody owes you money for the works that royalties for the works that they've used, but because you failed to take certain steps and use organizations like ours so we can go and collect your money, your claim prescribes.
Okay.
So you're not, then you won't be allowed to claim that money anymore. So it's important that you notify, and the good thing about what you said, CAPASSO is a non-profit organization. We consider ourselves a business extension to our members.
Yes.
It's essentially, and you were saying about being business minded, it's essentially, this is a tool that you as a business, as a creator, know is going to assist me in collecting and maximizing my income. And like I said, we are a tool for the publisher members. Also, they know that there's strength in numbers, and that same benefit is also given to the individual composers as well, authors and composers. And so if you don't use us, if you don't notify, if you don't take advantage of this really amazing tool to maximize your income in a specific amount of time. So prescription in South Africa is 3 years. If you don't do it within 3 years, it becomes a problem. Now, because CMOs are really good at negotiating, we're going to keep negotiating on behalf of our members. We're going to keep bringing the monies in.
Yes.
But if you haven't joined as a member, if you haven't notified, what happens is we've got money that we need to distribute. But if you haven't come to us within that prescribed time, your claim might prescribe. Now, we try as best as we can to accommodate all the members, but you got to move fast. And then there's another thing, which is, again, the fact that the users that we negotiate with, they've set up systems wherein they tell you, if you don't claim within 18 months, we're going to redistribute this to the people that have already claimed, because we don't want that liability.
Yes.
So it becomes then a problem for us to know that, listen, you're a multinational company that's functioning in South Africa, for example. We know that a lot of the content on your platform are South African content. But if we don't have those works, those actual detailed works in our repertoire, it makes it very difficult for us to then claim. And if we can't claim within that 18-month period, for example, what that means is they'll redistribute to those people who've already claimed. And it moves really fast in the digital space. So it's absolutely necessary that people notify.
Absolutely, it's imperative. Otherwise, you see, that's how people don't realize that they're losing. You're losing money that you could reinvest into your craft to better your craft. You're now losing it because you just simply haven't either become a member or you haven't notified correctly. So it's so important. It's so important to do that. And just whilst we're still on the topic of royalties and distribution, how often what is CAPASSO's distribution cycle? How often do you guys distribute? Are there specific things you distribute during different times of the year? When I'm saying things, I'm talking about royalties, sorry. Are there different royalties? Yes.
So we distribute every 3 months, so quarterly.
Okay.
We've got March, June, September, and December distributions. What we essentially distribute, so on a quarterly basis, we take the digital royalties or the royalties that were generated from all these digital platforms. We distribute every quarter. For the broadcasting royalties, however, we distribute every 6 months. So you've got March, we'd be distributing broadcasting, and September we're also distributing broadcasting royalties.
And I know that's a busy time during distribution time. That's when it's a very busy time there in that office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just, as you said, it happens quarterly, and you mentioned the different, let me say, mechanical royalties that get distributed at those times. So, you know, we talked about being business minded earlier, about having people that are within the space that are very business minded, and it goes to my next question, or let me say next discussion point, which is about active participation by the industry. Because, you know, a lot of people look at the likes of CAPASSOs and Samros and all the CMOs, they look at you guys and there's an expectation that you guys not only are you doing your jobs, but you're the ones responsible for finding solutions. You're the ones responsible for doing all these things. Whereas what I feel a lot of people don't realize is that, especially within the space of the CMO space, the CMOs are technically administrators. You guys are technically just administrators. And it really is a job of the industry to really collectively find solutions and the like together, like to find solutions as to, and maybe you can elaborate if there are any challenges, but to work together. The onus isn't only on the CMOs to find the solutions and then present. And when one of the things that I know that happens is there are opportunities for people to come and be active with CAPASSO. I know that there's an annual general meeting that happens yearly for the members. And maybe, and you can please, if you're able to, could you please elaborate on what happens during an AGM?
Jim, that's a great question, and I just wanted to emphasize on the first part of your question, the active participation. Like I said, we are an extended arm of your business. We're a tool.
Yes.
That if you break it down like that, we're a tool. We're not your business. We're just a tool in your business.
Correct.
And you can benefit from it if you know how to use it, you know, to your advantage. And the thing is, what the benefit that we give, you know, if you think about the idea behind collective management, right, is all the rights holders saying, listen, we are better off having an entity that represents all of our repertoire, negotiating. Say, for example, if you were an individual composer and author, and you had to negotiate with a TikTok, for example, and say, this is how much I want my royalties to be, it would be, where would you start, you know?
Impossible.
Right? Exactly. And that's what we hear. And we get to say to TikTok, listen, we represent all of these people. We represent all of these publishers and composers. So take us seriously. Let's do this deal, but let's do the best deal for our members.
Yes.
And that's the tool. So the tool is there but now you still need to use the tool, right? As a
Yeah,
composer, as an author, you still need to use the tool.
absolutely.
And that's why as an organization, we've put together a lot of different ways for you to benefit from it. First, you need to register as a member. You need to notify your works.
Yes.
Every, like you said, every distribution, when you earn, we send you a statement, basically detailing how much royalties you've generated, and we ask you to then provide us an invoice, and we pay you. So from that statement where you're getting your monies from, essentially.
Yes.
And then we've got workshops. We literally have a department that's dedicated to membership and to stakeholding, basically. And we've got workshops. We try our best to reach out to our members through our websites, through our newsletters, through our social media pages, just explaining what we are and who we are and how we can benefit you. And then, like you mentioned, the AGM, the annual general meeting, we have it usually in December, first week of December every year. We present our financial report,
Nothing to
basically,
hide.
because
All
again,
the financials you can actually see.
exactly, you can see the financials, you see exactly the monies that we've received, the monies that we've distributed. So there's transparency, complete transparency. Again, we're an extension of your business, right?
Yes.
You've got your financials, then we give you sort of a breakdown of the operations, what we've been doing in terms of the operations, the major licensees that we've obtained. And then you get to ask your questions. You get to actually interact with the management.
As a member,
Yeah,
you can
as a
actually,
member. Yeah, you can interact with the management. And the great thing about it is that we don't, discriminate between members. You can be an individual member, you can be a publisher. So you'll be sitting, across the room with people who represent the majors, for example, and you can still ask the same question, and we treat everybody with the same respect because we understand that your repertoire is as important. And AGMs, we also have votes. You get to vote on certain issues, on directors. You get to vote on certain key decisions that need to be made by basically the general members.
Nice.
So again, we're open book. We've got nothing to hide. As a member, you're entitled to all that information, so we make it available.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of members don't realize that. That's why I think a lot of guys are sitting back and they just expect. I don't even think people are aware that during an AGM, that, as you just mentioned, that you can actually vote. There's voting that happens there. There's there's new directors, or when there's certain things that need to be passed, that there's votes, and that's the active participation that needs to happen. In actual fact, I know that right now there's one body for that, kind of the Publishers Association in MPASA. However, I know at one point I remember thinking, I think composers need to stand back. They should band together and create their own thing. And I think authors as well, they need to create their own things as well, just so that there's bodies, so that when an AGM comes, they can just have the one representative from that body just to come and also ask the pertinent questions and also, and help provide solutions. As I said, it's also about participation is a dialogue, so solutions as well. So which is really dope. So
Absolutely.
And then so from there, I think I want to touch on now. There was an article, if you look on Music Business Worldwide, it talks about and the current CEOs there. There's a nice picture of Mr. Giotto Matariro, and it says that CAPASSO is now the African hub. And I mean, I'd like to delve into that a little bit, just so people also understand, because also sometimes the question that comes up is, if my music is playing in Nigeria, what happens then? Or if my music is playing in Morocco or in Kenya, so sometimes that, like, do I still get my royalties? So maybe could you elaborate a bit more on they're on this whole mission to create, not it has been created already, this African hub, but just what the African hub is doing and the bilateral agreements with other CMOs. And yeah, please
So
take.
essentially, yeah, there's power in numbers, right? I think that's the first starting point. The hub, the Pan-African, the CAPASSO licensing hub, serves, the way I understand at least, two functions, and it serves two distinct groups. The first one is it serves the African music industry in the sense of the African composers, authors, and publishers. What the hub now consists of, over 25 territories.
Fantastic.
So we represent over 25 territories on the African continent. Basically, through our collaborations with other collective management organizations in these countries,
yes,
we form a hub. That means when we license as one. What that does is it then puts all these composers, together, which then increases our repertoire, but also increases our negotiating power. So then, as a hub, we can then go to a licensee. That's in these days, you get a lot of multinational companies, in the music business, for example,
the likes of Google,
and say exactly your Googles, Apple, Spotify, and say to them, listen, we are not just a CMO in South Africa. We represent the Pan-African territory, and we want to be able to license on behalf of all of these territories for reproduction and even and so that's the first person that it helps is obviously the society, the African creators as a whole, and then it's convenient for the licensees, because what it says to them is, okay, we're able to now negotiate one license that covers a very big repertoire, and without having to negotiate multiple different licenses at different
each.
And again, it's really the power of the collective, because that allows us to then negotiate good rates for everybody. So, and then what that means though is that when your music, as for example a member of CAPASSO, is being played in South Africa, and it's being played in Nigeria, on that one platform that we've essentially licensed.
The license, yes.
Yeah, we collect. What that then helps you do is that your music, your royalties are being collected for usages on all these territories. And if you are also a Nigerian artist and your music is played in Nigeria and it's played in South Africa, we collect from that user. So that's the advantage, is that your music, wherever it's being played in our territories, we're definitely collecting.
Collected. And that's it's so important. I really was such a fan of I thought it was like the joining of hands. That's awesome. Of the various different CMOs and different African territories, and it was fantastic. And also one of the other things I also want to really encourage is that a lot of what you end up finding out is the reality is that sometimes a lot of the big name writers, our big name composers and authors, they often look for deals outside of the continent. And there is I'm an advocate for African solutions by Africans, for Africans, by Africans. And I know that it's not. I think sometimes there are some issues and challenges. However, it is. I always find it. I try and encourage people to also register with your local African collection management organizations, because sometimes when you register with an international one, even though you may be the biggest artist here, to them, they have their own priorities and they've got their own big artists. So you end up just becoming a stat to those kind of places, you know?
Yeah,
So it's very important to register local.
exactly.
Yes.
And at the core, that's who we are. We are a Pan-African licensing hub, because we understand the situation. We understand the African composer, author, creator, and we license based on that. For us, we're not just a number. We are, Pan-African. The good thing about it is we compete against the best of the best in the world, right? And that is, I think it's an amazing thing. It's a beautiful story, really.
Absolutely.
And like you said, being able to also register with your local CMO empowers that CMO.
Exactly.
And because one of the things that has always played that has always been a hindrance for a lot of the CMOs is not having the revenues to be able to license and collect, distribute, and the infrastructures that is needed. Because
yes,
I mean, we are a data concentrated industry.
yes.
And if you can't process data, then you've got a problem, right? And so when you register with your local CMO, and especially when you're a big, you've got a big repertoire, money-wise.
Yes.
What you're doing is you're empowering them to also be able to invest in the necessary tools to then benefit the other sort of creators within that territory as well. So,
absolutely.
So yeah,
it's a win for everyone.
Yeah, it's a win for everyone, and we also get to say, you know what, because we represent such big repertoires, we can afford to negotiate the best deals, right?
Better deals, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that ends up being, when you get better deals, there's more money and better money for our members,
Yeah, exactly.
No, absolutely. That's great. And thank you for breaking that down. So I just want to touch on, I think, 3 more things before our session is done. Illegal streaming platforms or illegal downloading platforms. Sometimes I feel that consumers don't understand the effect it has on our creatives. So something about me, I mean, I know at some point in my life, and this is for years, I actually vowed that I do not download illegal stuff. I do not stream from illegal platforms, movies, music, anything to do with the creative space, because now I have a better understanding of how that actually technically, not even technically, it's stealing from the creative when you're doing that. You really are, because sometimes people don't realize, because I feel sometimes the value of music has been diminished because it has also become very easy to make music. It's very easy to have a program to just to make a song. It's easy to now record a song. You don't even need a proper microphone. You can use your headphones. It's easy. So sometimes people think, music is something that's just. But I mean, when you look at it, music is it's a business. There's so much that goes in the back when recording a song. It's time and energy that someone is using, and time is money. When you're going into studio to record, when you get someone to do mixing and mastering, you get a sound engineer. You then have to get a distributor. There's all these things that, and there's investment. There's heavy investment from the creator side, and then for someone just to take it and then make it available for free, I think sometimes people don't understand that it is theft, and it's a massive problem. So so I wanted you to also just kind of touch on how we basically we need to actually work collectively to actually shut down these illegal sites.
Okay, yeah. So I think the first thing is understanding it. And again, sorry, I've got a legal background, so that always creeps in all of my conversations.
Yes.
That these illegal websites, or whatever platforms that allows you to take somebody's copyright, without their permission, or without compensating them,
Mm-hmm.
they're illegal, but it's also criminal.
Yes.
That needs to be said, and you are liable for criminal charges. You're liable for paying fines. You could even go to prison
Mm-hmm.
for that, because, like you said, it's theft and it's against the law. I think that's the first thing that everybody needs to understand. And the reality is, most people think, but it's just one song. Who's gonna catch? The reality is, if you were placed before a judge, you would be criminally,
Yep.
um, charged.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
first thing. And then the reasoning behind, because there's just so many songs out there, and like you said, it's easier. You get a lot more songs. People think that the creative process, they don't really understand the value that is placed in the creative process, just from the creative perspective, not alone the actual money that goes in. I mean,
Yeah.
um you know if just going back to school days, how difficult it was to produce an essay. You kind of like
Hey.
had to like scratch your, now
Hey.
imagine coming up with something that everybody's going to enjoy, everybody's going to appreciate. And it's soft power for a lot of people, but then music has helped us go through some of the hardest parts of our lives. It helps us, you
True.
know, you know, enhance some of the best parts of our lives. It's like it's fundamental to our lives, actually. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean,
No,
every
absolutely.
if you just think about your day, if think about like you spending a month without music at all, you don't
Possibly
hear it on
can't.
radio, don't it would be, I mean, even like movies, right? You're
Yes.
thinking, imagine movies without like, mood music for it
Yes.
in the
Yes.
it just doesn't make sense, right?
True
And the
that.
thing is, all of that is creative. It's a creative process, and it's people dedicating their lives to making these things, these creations possible.
Correct.
And so when you get platforms that exploit that for free and put it out there for free, it's a problem, because you're killing an industry. First of all, you're
Yeah.
killing somebody's work.
Yes.
And then just it feels like a culture of not being appreciative of your fellow human beings.
Yeah.
It removes your dignity to an extent. And I feel strongly about that, because it's basically me putting my all into something and then getting nothing
Imagine.
in return. Yeah. So it's definitely something that needs, and it comes from every individual user, first
Yeah.
of all, being in a place of understanding, the implications of what you're doing, when you frequent these platforms or these illegal sites. Is you're killing somebody's business, basically. You're stealing from
100%.
somebody's plate.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely need to work together. And I think the laws are also working towards that. And this is a conversation that I remember having with other stakeholders on piracy, on how to combat piracy. I think the first thing is we need the stronger laws,
Yeah.
being able to say, and then holding people accountable. We're in a
Yeah.
digital space, so not just going to hold individuals accountable. You also need to be able to hold platforms accountable.
Yep.
You need to be, I believe, go further and hold internet service providers certain level of accountability. I mean,
Uh-huh.
even, yeah, your search engines also, because I mean they've got the money and the technology to sort of like pick up quickly on these
Yeah.
illegal websites.
True.
So I
True.
think that's where a lot of the fight needs to be led. But on the one hand, it's those, and then it's really people's mindset, understanding that, look, I'm able to be on to work today
Yeah.
because of basically that side of the industry, right? So
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. People, I don't believe in magic, but you know, when you see the creation of music, that is actually for me, if you have to talk about what real magic is it's creating nothing, and then now we have just a vibe, you know.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's it. So I think, yeah, people really do need to understand that this and the unfortunate thing also is that these illegal platforms, they are making money. They're making money with your eyes. They're making money through foot traffic. I mean, well, your eyes, sorry. So that's something which people need to really understand, that these guys are the ones, they are making money. However, the creators aren't. And this idea of exposure, like I'd say do without those platforms for that type of exposure. There's many other different ways to get exposure than to feed these animals, these platforms.
And when you think about it, I mean, the way a lot of these platforms that are, you know, legitimate, that are licensed and stuff, they make music very affordable, right? And when you think about it as a creator, if you want the exposure, I'd rather go to those than the ones that exploit your work. And like you said, you make a lot of money because the thing is, you know, it's your music that's attracting traffic to these websites. So you're the main ingredient and you don't get paid for it.
Nothing.
Like, how does that make sense? You know,
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So it's something which I'm definitely part of that fight as well, and we're gonna keep fighting till we figure this out.
Absolutely.
And then, so another thing, so just now, change of topic. You mentioned earlier how CAPASSO is almost like there's a lot of data that comes through CAPASSO, a lot of data, and I mean, you know, sometimes I remember at one point with some of the award shows. Like I remember award shows and the like. Do you feel that these award shows are engaging with the likes of CAPASSOs enough? You guys who actually have the data, who can actually inform them of numbers, for example, the highest downloaded artists or the highest, you know what I mean? Certain awards. Are they engaging with you guys enough? Because I feel they need to.
So the good thing though, like I think, again, because we live in such a world with this like overload of data, I think the data is there. It's always there. You can find it. Some of these platforms, provided there are, you know, organizations whose sole purpose is to basically track down the usages and the streamings. We obviously engage as much as we can. Some of these platforms, I know we collaborate very well with, for example, the Summers.
Nice.
So but in terms of engagement, like we try our best, but we do have the data, and we're more than welcome to share those that we can with them. But I do understand your point that you know, it's something that you need to really be able to process in order to then make informative decisions on how you're going to reward somebody for, like, you know, the most downloads if you don't have the proper data. But the data is there. The good thing about technology is that you keep record of everything, and
there
like
we go.
You can never really erase things. It's the backups and backups. So a backup and backups of things. So the data is there. Yeah, and we do engage as best as we can with anybody that's really wanting to engage on that.
So I think people must know that you must engage with you guys. Anyone who's got award shows and doing stuff, please engage with CAPASSO and get the correct numbers and the correct dates and the correct figures, so that when people are being awarded these awards, it's going to the right people. You know, it's very important. And one more thing before, I just want to ask, I know we've discussed a lot. I just want to also just see, are there any other challenges or anything that you want to also to talk about before we wrap up this session? Anything you wanted to make people aware of? Yeah.
Right. So like I think the first and it's really just re-emphasizing what we've been discussing is that, you know, one of the major ingredients to what we do as a collective management organization is being able to have all the works notified on our platform. And I keep insisting on this because I really believe that we do great work in terms of getting those monies, collecting that monies. We also would like to be able to continue to do even greater work distributing that monies. So it's so important to be able to notify, and it's also, I think, important to take advantage. I know that some of our other CMOs outshine us from a popularity perspective because they've been here longer and they're always on the limelight. But
yes,
moving onto the digital space, this is where we really we've built a strong foundation.
correct.
So, you know, and we are more and more relevant.
Yes.
So I would sort of, you know, encourage people to really just join CAPASSO, because we've established ourselves on the digital space, and that's where the money is, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
before we knock off, I want to just ask, how does someone register? I saw that you guys have you've upgraded the website. The website is looking nice. So how does one either register to be a member or even a publisher? How does someone register with you guys? And what costs? What are the costs?
Yeah, so it's really simple. Like you said, our website, www.capasso.co.za. You go there, you click on membership, and then you've got, it brings you onto your membership portal. You register from there, you know, name, ID, those sort of basic details, you put that there. The cost, really minimal. It's 100 rands a year for individual composers, authors, and it's 250 for publishers. And that's like, and you've registered for the entire year. Yeah,
it's as easy as that.
It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. Go www.capasso.co.za, and you get all your information there. And I mean, our website, again, we've really tried to make it user friendly. So
it looks good. It looks really
changes. So yeah.
It looks really good. So yeah, so I mean, outside of registering, guys, what's more important is notifying. So please, once you become a member, whether you're a publisher, and by the way, just to throw it in there, CMOs are not publishers, because I know that often gets confused. Sometimes when I get asked about that, people mention CAPASSO and Samra as a publisher, and that's just to make sure that, but publishers are members of the CMOs.
Exactly.
So that's how we make that. But yeah, more importantly, you need to notify your works and notify it correctly. So yeah. But I think
100%.
With that being said, sir, I want to just thank you for your time, Roland. It's been an awesome talk. Don't worry, my plan is that all the CMOs now will have the same limelight. People will now understand, so the light will be shared equally amongst everyone and everything done properly. But I appreciate the work that you guys do. I've sat in that seat. I know exactly the battles that you go through in terms of fighting to license, making sure that these members get their what's due to them, actually. So I really just want to commend you guys for the job that you're doing. And yeah, I hope to do some workshops soon. And you'll be on the invite list. And you need to get, and I'll need to get you a Moti shirt soon also.
Hey, look at that, man. Yeah, that's great work, man.
Yeah,
you know the office, so
exactly.
We'll
it's the same address. It's the same address. Now, once again, Roland, thank you so much for your time. And you guys keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you for the platform, and it's really a privilege to also be able to speak to your audience and be able to say, listen, we're here, and our main objective is to serve our members. So thanks for the platform.
No problemo. Thank you. All right. We'll be in touch.
Cool.
Ciao.
Cheers.